Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Let's Talk About Mental Health. Please welcome your host, Tanner Bell.
Thank you. Alrighty, my name is Tanner Bell and I'm the Vice President External of the Student Union of Confederation College. I just want to thank everybody in the audience for joining us. I just want to welcome you to Suki's live talk show, Let's Talk About Mental Health talk show. It's the second series of a live monthly talk shows. Today we're not only going to be hearing from the we're not only going to be live from the Shunya Student Lounge, we're also going to be broadcasting to help our broadcasting students on campustv.ca. We want to invite the audience, we want to involve you, our audience, so that you can ask questions at the back of the room where you'll find the question cube. You can write down your questions and we will answer them at the end of the show. Folks watching at campustv.ca, you can add your questions in the chat window and you can answer, and we'll answer those questions too. Sorry, I'm just trying to read this as I go over it, rehearse it a couple times, going to stutter a little bit just to get the jitters out of the way, just to make it more realistic for you guys. So you might have noticed all the yellow walls. I know they were a little hard to miss, but Suki and CSA, which is the College Student Alliance, has joined together to present the Yellow Umbrella Project, which all of us in the lovely t-shirts are wearing today. Suki and CSA are using the color yellow because it's one of the lightest colors. It's uplifting and illuminating. Yellow offers hope, happiness, cheerfulness, and fun. The yellow umbrella symbolizes shelter. Shelter from the stigma that surrounds mental health. Our goal is to stop the stigma against mental health and to raise awareness to the mental health issues within the post-secondary education. We have added 4 questions to the wall around us. What makes you happy? What causes you stress? What does mental health mean to you? And how do you cope with stress? So I encourage you all to write on the wall. We have markers that are going to be up for the rest of the week. And I encourage you all to write on the wall and answer those questions for us. All the answers are from students and employees of the college. But you know what? Let's get started. We have some great guests today, including amazing local artist, LK. And yeah, we'll just go right ahead and get started with that. So, gonna go with the guest? Bring the guest? Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and welcome Vivian Siciliano. She brings 19 years of varied clinical experience. Sorry, we're not gonna go with the music break, I guess, I've been told. So most recently as a clinical lead of the surgical program of the regional biometric, it's a sophisticated word here, and as a family member of the NOSM. She has provided care as a nurse practitioner in the community of mental health, adolescent health care, and a variety of trauma settings. Please welcome Vivian. Hello and welcome.
Tanner, how's everybody today? You're all good? Right on. It's nice to see everybody. First of all, I just wanted to say that I'm thrilled actually to be at the college. I love the energies of the students. I just am so excited to be here. New nurse practitioner in the health center. Please come down and see me, okay? I'd like to see everybody.
Awesome. So we're just going to go ahead and get right started with it. So tell me, Vivian, what is a nurse practitioner?
So a nurse practitioner is a nurse that has training in advanced education, and that means that I can prescribe, order particular diagnostics and tests, also provide a diagnosis and plan of care, basically provide primary care, make referrals, etc. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very, very much. Tell me about the clinic on campus.
So the health clinic, and I realized there's actually very limited signage to get down to the clinic area. It'll say dental clinic, but we're part of the dental clinic. It's at the end, is it the Reach building, I believe it is, the new area at the very end. Just keep walking down the hall. Come on down and see me there, okay? And we can set up an appointment. Walk-ins are also always welcome.
Awesome. So can you explain to the students exactly what some of the services are available at the health center?
Yeah. So right now, immunization is huge right now, particularly for some of the first-line students. If you're in any sort of medical areas or first response, we're trying to get all the students up to date with their immunizations, testing, as well as their serology. Anything that you'd probably present to in a walk-in clinic, I can certainly provide services for. If you need refill of prescriptions, x-rays, treatments for any sort of illnesses, assessment for colds, flus, STD testing, pap tests. We got condoms there. Woo! One cheer over there. Yeah, we've got pretty much anything that you would see if you did a walk-in clinic. Yeah.
Awesome. And so I know that we're all students and we're all watching our dollar. So what does that mean in dollar-wise for us students walking into the clinic?
It's an excellent price. It's free. All right. For students that do not have a health card, then, for example, if you're from another province or you're an international student, we will still provide care. We don't say no to people that do not have an Ontario health card. We will always provide care.
Awesome. So I see that there's a person with their hand up, so if you do have questions.
Yes, absolutely. The question was, if you have a physician or a care provider already, can you come to the clinic? Absolutely. Further to that, though, I'll always ask if you want any communication to your care provider. There are certain situations and healthcare concerns that sometimes people may not want their care provider to be privy to or know about, and certainly I can maintain confidentiality. That's the other piece that I really want the students to understand as well, is that the files are confidential. Professors, your teachers, family, parents, whomever, they are not able to have access to that information unless it's important to provide you further care, and you are going to have to sign a release for that to happen. Okay? That's really important.
Awesome. Very, very good question. So what are some of the things that me and the other students can do looking after our health?
I think there's a ton of information available nowadays to how to stay healthy. People pretty much know how to do it. Whether they do it or not is another concern. Obvious is the nutrition piece, but with the nutrition piece, variety, protein, those are sort of your biggies. With regards to exercise, you don't have to join the fitness class. Move. Rather than sitting in one spot, just move. When I worked at the bariatric center providing care to people that were 300, 400, 500 pounds, moving was a huge thing for these individuals. So just get moving. That you don't have to feel guilty because you're not joining some workout class or situation. Hydrate always. Always try and stay as hydrated as much as possible. Get involved in things. Enjoy life. Have fun. Make sure that your day has huge components of really having a good time. Spend time with people. Try not, I call it caving. If you're not feeling it, you tend to want to just hide away and not get out there. Sometimes just getting out and going for a walk will make a huge difference on how you feel. But try and incorporate that fun factor in each day. Do something that matters. All right? So that means, you got to go to school. Yeah, you got to go to jobs or whatever it is. But do something, have something in your life, whether it's volunteering or a hobby, spending time with somebody that's important to you. Do something that you care about and that gives you lots back. If you're spending time with friends, make sure you're getting as much from them as you're giving to them. All right? Don't get sucked dry. And then see your nurse practitioner because they will help you lots.
Awesome. Some great tips for our students. So we're going to talk more with Vivian about ways to maintain your mental health in just a moment. But first, LAK is an emerging, this is where we have the actual music break that they told me about. So LAK is an emerging singer-songwriter who writes and performs songs about the people and places that inspire her. With piano and voice as her primary instrument, Ellie draws from a number of genres including rhythm and blues, folks and bluegrass to create original songs with grit and groove. Ellie debuted as a solo act for Music of the Masses in 2013 in Thunder Bay, and has since been played at places such as Crocs, Black Pirate Pub, The Foundry, The Study, and Cheers. She performed as a Define Superior Art Gallery random acts of poetry and has been interviewed on CBC, Royals Radio's Voyage North. Please welcome Ellie Kay.
Hello, everybody. I have some songs for you. I'm a singer-songwriter. Thanks for the introduction. I have a couple songs for you guys today, and here we go. They're my originals. One more throw till I throw you out the door. I've said this too many times before, and I don't feel like saying it anymore. You're my silly old fool's gold that I wear you around every day. So I think about the times we have and say it wasn't so bad, it wasn't so bad. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. You drag me down all over town, and I wear you round so proud. Your shiny lure, your pretty pole keeps me in the clouds. 'Cause it's not real gold, the real stuff fails to make me think of you. 'Cause it's fake and false, just like us, and it's gonna be taken off soon. Whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, when did you get so uncomfortably cold? I thought it was the hottest day of the year. Whoa, 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 whoa. Ba ba da la da ba ba la ba wa ba 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 da la da ba ba la wo ba ba da la da ba ba la ba da da la la ba da ba 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 da ba da ba da wo whoa, 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 whoa. Ain't no girl should feel like a fool while she's wearing a heavy heart. It's hard enough to break apart when it's been wrong from the start. This pendant's old, cheap and cold, hanging on an instant chain. Gonna throw you back your tinfoil trash back in the hollow way you came. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Ba da ba da ba la la da ba. Ba ba da la da ba da ba la la da ba. Ba ba da ba da ba da ba la la da ba. Ba da da la ba da. That's called Fool's Gold. Thank you.
Before Elle performed, we talked a little bit about mental health in general. What does mental health mean to you, Vivian?
Mental health. Mental health, I think, is an important aspect of general health. It's very difficult to separate it. I always think about the fact that I talk about the truth is in the tissue. So typically, when I have patients that present, and they're presenting with a number of different symptoms, I'm always wondering what is the truth in it? What sort of emotional basis is in it? Because typically, as you know, they go hand in hand. So oftentimes when the mental aspect is off, then usually there's a bit of a physical symptom as well. So when they're in harmony, I find that that's when people are their healthiest.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. Very informative. What are some of the most common mental health issues that you see as a nurse practitioner?
I think right now, because we're just getting into the swing of things with school, of course, stress is huge. Stress, anxiety often goes hand in hand with depression as well. Interesting. I mean, I think that the college has jumped sort of right into it. Walking the halls, you see kids studying, see the students that are doing their practicums. Everybody's coming in stressed like crazy. So it's very difficult to eke out that time that they can ground themselves because, of course, stress is leading to other physical concerns as well. So stress is number one. Certainly a little bit of mood concerns as well, feeling overwhelmed, depression. I am seeing a few students that have some long-standing mental health conditions as well, where they have had a chronic condition. So they're coming to see me for further treatment and refill of their medications and just monitoring. That's typically what I'm seeing.
So I know as students we all experience stress and we're going to have anxiety. So if I was to do a check of myself, what does that sort of look like, stress and some of the other symptoms you talked about there?
So the overall concern, of course, is how is it affecting your day-to-day living? Are you sleeping okay? Are you eating differently? Are you eating too much? Are you eating too little? Are you skipping meals? Are you not doing things that you typically would enjoy doing? Something called anhedonia. So that's where I usually go and work out, or I usually spend time with friends, but because you can't find that emotional energy or physical energy, you'll avoid it. So that's a bit of a heads up. Where you see changes in your day-to-day activity and it starts to infringe on your life. That's a bit of a concern. Where it's more problematic is, again, as I mentioned, when it starts to have influence on your health. So you're not sleeping at all. You're not feeling generally well at all. You're just not coping. You're not doing well.
Great, great. Very informative for our students. So what can we do to recognize and respond when we feel our mental health might be in jeopardy?
So as I said, I mean, if it's affecting your day-to-day activity, you're feeling you can't cope, you don't know what to do, you are so not alone. As I said at the beginning, don't be a stranger. Come down and see myself. There's also the student support services as well for counseling. Come in. Don't feel that you're alone. Chances are the person that's sitting next to you or just beside you is also challenged. They're also really suffering and trying to deal with the stress that they're facing it in their day-to-day lives. So don't be afraid to come down. Even if you think it's not that important, just come down and say, hey, you know what, I don't think this is right. And we can talk further together as well. Okay?
Awesome, great. A lot of information for our students. So like you said, don't feel scared to just go down and chat, right? We all like to talk. I know I like to talk a lot. Doesn't always work in my best interest, but I do. So thank you, Vivian. Viv will be rejoining us at the end of the show to answer questions from our audience. Write down your question and we will answer them at the end of the show. Folks watching at campustv.ca can add their questions in the chat window and we will also answer those too. Now please welcome back the wonderful, talented LK.
Thank you. This song reminds me a bit of a road trip song. I write a lot of songs on the road, traveling from Thunder Bay to Toronto. Focus all my energy, channel into roads. My home private army, trenching through the snow. Make it a priority, forget cheap thrills. Whoa, through peaks and the valleys and open prairie fields. 'Cause you can call it fate, or you can call it a mistake. Doesn't matter anyway. Yeah, you say. Oh, 'cause my new attitude, well, it fits better on me. They call me Lieutenant, I call them my crew. We're on a mission out of here, it's long overdue. Life's a game of left and rights, there's no referees. Whoa, 'cause I got friends everywhere and love as strong as trees. 'Cause you can call it fate, or you can call it a mistake. Doesn't matter anyway. Yeah, you say. Oh, 'cause my new attitude, well, it fits better on me. Not gonna wait for another day now. Not gonna wait for another chance. Not gonna wait, until tomorrow. Time keeps ticking away, ticking away. My friend, he told me something in my backyard. I saw in the shooting star. It's gonna be a tricky one, gonna be uphill. Hey, but if you're gonna do it, you gotta, you gotta give it hell. 'Cause you can call it fate, or you can call it a mistake. Doesn't matter anyway. Yeah, you say. Whoa, 'cause my new attitude, well, it fits better on me. Well, 'cause my new attitude, well, it fits better on me. Well, 'cause my new attitude, well, it fits better on me. Yeah, whoa. Thank you.
Years in community mental health before coming to the college. She has been a counselor at the college since 2009. She has a master's degree in social work. She specializes in coping with depression, anxiety, performance anxiety, managing self-harm, and grief and loss. Daryl McNeil has his honors bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's degree in counseling psychology. His previous experience at the Sister Margaret Smith Center as an outpatient counselor for young adults with mental health and addiction challenges. He works from a strength-based client, that's an appropriate word, and has thoroughly enjoyed his time at the college throughout his experiences. Let's now both welcome them to the stage. Yeah, big round of applause, guys. There's like evenly between us. It's okay. I know. Away from him. Yeah. Alrighty. So I want to welcome Linda and Daryl. So I'm just going to get right into the first question we have, and that is, it's a very broad question, but what is mental health?
I guess that's my question. It's a very good question, and you're right. Mental health is such a broad question. I think a good way of monitoring your own mental health or evaluating it is looking at your everyday activities, and as daily stressors come up, how do you manage with those stressors? So when someone has good mental health, and you're a student, so I know every student here has great mental health because we all deal with stress well. So when those tests come up, your teacher's late, your dog ate your homework, and your group didn't show up for your group meeting, how you manage all those stressors will evaluate whether or not you have good mental health. So if you're able to still manage and cope well with all of those stressful factors, that will give you your level of mental health. But let's say all of those situations happen and you don't show up to class, your mark is now a fail, and you kind of deteriorate from then, that would show you have a level of not so good mental health. So we all have levels of mental health, and the idea behind mental health is how we manage or how we cope with those stressful situations that come up in day-to-day life.
Awesome. So I know the next question I have really gets confused with what mental health is. So the next one I have is, what is mental illness?
I guess just to further on Linda's example, I think of mental health as maybe like an elastic band. And when your mental health is good, when you're stressed or have challenges, you know, the elastic band can stretch without breaking and adapt to whatever it needs to be wrapped around. But I think with mental illness, when there's challenges, the elastic can be seen as maybe more brittle, and when it's stressed, it would break. I'm not sure I like the term illness, because a lot of mental illnesses actually, I think the stat is about 70% of mental illnesses can be grown out of. Ages 16 to 24 is the most common ages where people are diagnosed with any kind of mental health challenges, but a lot of them can be outgrown. So I think maybe looking at them more as mental health challenges is a more appropriate label, given that you can move in and out of the labels. But I guess when behaviors and thinking becomes restricted, or if your world becomes smaller, you're not doing as much, and becoming maybe more inward, would be traits of mental illness, I would think.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So how do I know when my mental health may be declining?
Good question. I think, if we're looking at students' level of mental health, and if we're questioning whether your mental health might be declining, it's looking again and comparing to your daily activities and seeing if there's any changes in those behaviors. So if you're a student that comes to class every day and sits in front of the class and you engage with your teacher, and then after school you'll go to work, or you'll work out, or you'll spend time with your family, if those stay the same, I think your mental health is doing quite well. But if you start seeing changes in those behaviors, so now you're not coming to class, you're not engaging with the teacher or the rest of your classmates, you're not doing your homework, and then when you go home, you either call in sick so you don't go to work, or you don't communicate with your family, those will be signs that your mental health may be declining. So changes in behavior.
Alrighty, very, very good key there. So I know we have our Student Success Center in our counseling services, and I know students might be a little bit leery going down there to speak to you. I might have to approach a secretary. I don't want people to know. So why do students speak to a counselor, and what would sort of be the factors there that would we don't want to deteriorate them from going to counseling. So eventually, why do students speak to a counselor? What would be enticing for them to do it?
Well, I think there's a lot of different reasons, but I've been at the college for a year now, and just based on my experience so far, it's a wide-ranging presenting problems that people come in for, but the major umbrella problem seems to be stress, and how stress can manifest itself into different struggles. But we also see students for relationship challenges. Given my background in substance use, I worked at the Sister Margaret Smith Center. I've seen a few students for their substance use problems. Test anxiety. Actually, anxiety is one of the bigger ones, and it's amazing the impact that can have on a student's functioning, especially as it relates to, just even socializing, making it to class, performing, giving presentations. So a lot of anxiety, depression, and sometimes it's just something minor that they want clarification on, or just a simple question or some sort of nudge in a direction that maybe they weren't sure of. But I would say stress is probably a big reason why we see a lot of students.
Alrighty, thank you. Very informative. So, thank you, Daryl and Linda. This will also, I just want to remind everybody, this will be your last chance to ask questions from the question cube. So please pop them back there in the box at the back, or in the chat window at campustv.ca. But I also want to welcome back LK for amazing music. Welcome back, LK.
This next song is a song I wrote about the Great Depression. Somebody near and dear to me shared these real life stories from this period, and I just thought it was beautiful to put into a song. One, two, three, four. Hide behind the foothills for freight trains headed slow. Aim rocks near the train guard so he'll throw us back potatoes. We'll bring them home to Mama, one of our chores for the day. To find our family something and share 12 equal ways. So we worked where we could, hitching along that 2-lane dusty road. Didn't get sick, we couldn't get sick, there wasn't any time for that. But if we got sick, Mama had a trick and she'd put us right on track. When feeling blue with a case of the flu, she had her own remedy. She said, put out your tongue, it's gonna come back soon with a drop of kerosene. So we worked where we could, hitching along that 2-lane dusty road. Mama was as thin as a rail, but her love had filled our home. I can see her smiling, I can see her dancing, even though she's been long, long gone. 'Cause after supper and after the dishes, we'd all gather round real close. Under the flicker of a candle flame, we'd dance to the beat of our foot stomp drums, where we worked where we could, hitching along that 2-lane dusty road. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. What great, amazing local talent. We have so much talent in Thunder Bay, and I love that we can showcase it during our talk shows. So back to our counselors. I want to ask you a question. It might be difficult for some students to know the layout of our building and whatnot, because it is a bigger building, and we like to label things a little bit weird. So where is the counseling services located?
Hello? Oh. We're right across, directly across from the hub, actually, and Linda just reminded me that our services are also available online to the district campuses, which is a project started, I think, last year by Jim Lees with the e-counseling. I'm not sure if that's done locally, but so counseling is available to all the students, no matter if they're at this campus or this other 7 satellite campuses, I believe. But yeah, our location is right across from the hub, and typically to come in to set up an appointment, you just check in with the reception there, or email or call us directly, and usually you can get in within a day or two, and happens that easy.
Awesome, great, very informative to know where our counseling services are located. So if I come to you, or if a student comes to you within the office, can you tell us, would those services be confidential between us?
Great question. I think a lot of students feel that anytime they participate in any of the college programs, that we are all related to each other, and that information is shared from program to program or department to department, and that's not true with counseling services. When students come to see us, that meeting and our appointments are completely confidential. Sometimes there are issues that might come up that we recommend that the student perhaps share this with their faculty or their teachers or other staff, because there might be an issue that could potentially be helpful in the long run when it comes to some of the programs that they're in. But all of our sessions with students are 100% confidential. We don't share any information with faculty. We don't share any information with other students. We don't share information unless you wanted us to. So I think it's an important question, because I think it's a fear and a stigma that a lot of students have, especially if you're in a program where perhaps you are in a social service program and you don't want someone to know that you're actually seeking help. Where Daryl and I will say, when people come to ask us for support, we actually see that as a point of strength, and we all recognize there's points in our lives where things become stressful and we need some help, so we always say that as a benefit. But we have to remind students, even when they leave our meetings, that our appointments are completely confidential.
Awesome. I think that gives our students some ease of mind there. And just like she talked about, is removing the stigma. That's what our whole project this week is about, is removing the stigma and using the umbrella as a shelter, that counseling services can be that shelter for you. So we really, that's the whole image and message we want to portray across to everyone, is to remove that stigma. So you being in the field, both of you, for a very long time, is how prevalent is mental illness or the mental challenges?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, the years of about 16 to 24 seem to be the hardest years mentally, and that's when the brain's changing the most, and you see probably the biggest occurrences are probably happening during these years from 18 to 22. I think it's part of the individuation, separating from the parents and becoming independent adults, as well as the stress that a lot of students are under, choosing career directions and trying to keep afloat with their studies. But I believe the stats are roughly between 20 and 25% of young adults will struggle with some sort of mental health challenge. And the thing I always like to point out there for students is that if it occurs once in your life, there's a good chance it could occur again, a second or a third time later in life. So that validates our services even more, because I think it stresses the importance of learning coping strategies at a young age, so that if it does reoccur later in life, you feel equipped to deal with it. One more stat I liked that I came across too was that of the students that did struggle with mental health challenges, the ones that sought out support were about 10 to 15% more likely to be successful in their school, which is hugely important when you're paying money for it. So again, that just validates our services being that much more important to the success of the students if they do encounter some sort of mental health challenge.
Great. So me as a student, interpreting all the factors that you just said there, what if I don't think that my problems are bad enough to go to counseling services or to seek some help for it?
I think, I think a lot of students think that a lot of their problems aren't bad enough, and then someone else out there must have worse problems. The reality behind our service is that we service everyone, and sometimes those small problems can build into bigger problems. And often if we can capture something early, then we can prevent something from becoming really big later on. So sometimes a student might not feel that they have a problem, but maybe their teacher does, or their classmates do, or their parents, or their girlfriends or boyfriends. So sometimes it's beneficial for someone just to say, you know what, maybe I'm just going to touch base with someone, see if they have some suggestions. And we always say it's always just good to talk to someone, whether it's a little problem or a big problem or any issue that you might have. Let's face it, we all like to be heard. So any problem is a significant problem to us.
Yes, and I think that should be made apparent to all of our students, that no problem too big or too small can be spoken about. So you've explained your jobs, and you explained some of the factors that would be given into that we can come and seek you about. So could you just give me a rundown as what could I expect during the counseling process with you?
Sure. I think me and Linda both try and keep it, relaxed. We could try and meet the students where they're at. There's no pressure to disclose stuff that people wouldn't want to. We typically meet for them with them, for about an hour. And if they want to continue to see us bi-weekly or weekly, for however long it takes them to feel like they've resolved their problem, is fine with us. And like I said, it's very relaxed, low pressure. And we, like I said, we meet them where they're at, and when they decide that their problem has been resolved or satisfied, then it ends. So basically, it's up to the student how it plays out, and we just walk alongside and help out the best that we can.
Awesome. I think that it's great that it's within the control of the student to be able to have that. So soon we will welcome back all of our guests and take your questions. But first, one last time for the lovely LK.
Standing here on this plateau, you say breathe and I say go. Mine, she's filled up, overflow, camouflaged by my shadow. So pack your bags and pack 'em light. We're headed off to make things right. No time left to think it twice. No, no, no. Any other time, but not tonight. Turn the car to highway drive. The space up here, it's too confined. Catch a glowing summer skies. Leave the rest at home behind. So pack your bags and pack 'em light. We're headed off to make things right. No time left to think it twice. No, no, no. Any other time, but not tonight. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Dark clouds and memories. A few blank slates are all I need. No game plan, no guarantees to put my march band mind at ease. So pack your bags and pack 'em light. We're headed off to make things right. No time left to think it twice. No, no, no. Any other time, but not tonight. Any other time, but not tonight. Whoa. Any other time, but not tonight. I'm LK. Thanks very much. Thanks to Confederation College for having me. Cheers.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So please welcome back all of our guests, Vivian, Linda, and Daryl. And so basically, I just want to get right down to it and answer the students' questions. Like I said, we want to get you guys involved. So the first question is, how hereditary is mental health? And any one of you can answer this.
Hello?
There you go. There you go.
Okay, good. How hereditary is mental health? So I'm going to try and twist that question around just slightly. And how hereditary is mental illness? There are some illnesses that possibly can be hereditary, but not all illnesses, and I think it depends on what, some of the factors, the risk factors behind that. So I would say that yes, there are some mental illnesses that can be hereditary, but not all of them. There's several factors several factors around that. Is this your question? No pressure. Is that your In my experience, some that would be hereditary could be depression, could be bipolar disorder, could be schizophrenia. Mental illnesses, right? Now, this is different from mental health issues.
Could you just briefly explain what hereditary is to some people?
So it's within your gene pool. So your parents, your grandparents, someone in your family lived with mental illness, and there is potential. Now, there's lots of degrees of what potential means as to whether or not you would live with those illnesses as well.
Awesome. Great question, great question. I hope we fully answered that for you. Alrighty, another question we pulled from the Cube or online was, I am unsure about my mental health. Can I still go see a counselor?
Because I'm holding this, is this the... I guess I'm the winner. Yes, you can. We are registered practitioners, so we cannot allow someone to go untreated if we can't find someone in the community. So when students do leave our institution, if we cannot refer them into a community setting or a community counseling agency, we will refer them, we will keep them until we are able to do that. And I think, Vivian, did you want to answer your own question?
Well, it's very similar. And I know Linda's probably the same, that if somebody does present with a very urgent or acute need because of their mental health state, we also have some pretty solid resources that we can pull in as well. I think we've all been sort of in the game long enough that we've got some good sort of go-tos. So we do our best to get people the help and assistance that they need in an extremely timely fashion. It's not like they're going to be sort of on the back burner for a long period of time. But we do try and meet that immediate need as soon as possible when they present.
You got the conch.
There we go. Alrighty, so the next question we have from one of our students is, how can routines affect your mental wellness? Anyone can take it, anyone at all.
Well, I think routines are a big part of establishing recovery from any kind of mental health challenges, and may indicate also a decline in mental health, given that, if you are involved in sports, you have a social network that you spend a lot of time with your friends, family, attending jobs, school, stuff like that. And when there's a break in those routines or you start pulling away from some of those things, I think that's an indication maybe of a decline. And so part of me and Linda, and I'm assuming Vivian as well, when we meet with someone who is working on improving their situation, getting those routines reestablished is a big part of the work that we do together. So I would say yes, it's a big factor. And when you isolate and avoid, that tends to make the situation worse. So yeah.
I just wanted to add that there's healthy routines, and sometimes when somebody becomes a little bit more compulsive, right, where they have their day-to-day routine, and if there's a switch or a change or they are unable to do that routine, that it creates a lot of dis-ease in them. They don't feel good about it because they haven't been able to do that particular routine. That's a bit of an issue as well. So as you mentioned, Daryl, there's both sides of that coin. So if it does create anxiety and stress because you can't do that particular routine, then sometimes that's a bit of a heads up as well.
Great. So another question we have for one of our students is, can I get help when I'm no longer a student at the college? I know you touched on this a little bit earlier, but...
Yes. We don't promote that, but you can. So there, that's it. No. when you are no longer students, so let's say if you've withdrawn from a program or perhaps you've graduated from the institution, we do see students, sometimes it's outside of our office hours, but still inside of our office. Again, the whole idea is to try and make a community referral, but we also know that sometimes in the community you can be waiting 3 to 4 to 7 months. So we will often do that work as an ethical obligation for our clients.
Great, and I think that's very helpful. Alrighty, so we're going to finish up with one more question. And that is stress always a negative feeling?
No, is the bottom line there. Stress motivates us. Stress keeps us going. Stress is an important part of your physical system as well. Our bodies need a little bit of a motivator in there. There's always the comparative of the good stress and bad stress, and I continue to hearken back to how is it affecting your day-to-day life and your health. If it motivates you, for example, getting ready for a test or an exam, you're worried about failing, there's that stress that I've got to do well, so you put more effort into the study or the preparatory piece. But if it's overwhelming you, that you're so overcome by the stress of that test, you can't even get started, or you can't, that information's just not staying in your head, then that's a comparative of good and bad stress. But I think we all need a little bit just to get us going and keep us pretty healthy.
Great, and I think those are phenomenal questions and phenomenal answers. And we did have more questions, but we will try to get those questions answered for you and put them up somewhere on our social media for you, or find a way to deliver them to you. But I know we're just about out of time, so I want to thank you and all of our guests, Linda, Vivian, Daryl, and LK. Thank you for joining us, both here and in the studio, and in the Ryan Hall, and online. Thank you to our broadcasting students and to the faculty on helping us do this simultaneously cast today. We hope you will join us on November 12th for our next talk show. Let's talk about student safety. And let's now throw it to LK.